The year is 1990. I'm 15 years old. My mom turns 35, and for her birthday, my dad buys her the brand new canary yellow 300ZX made by Nissan. Do you remember this car?
Yeah, those were something else.
In 1990, this car was like, holy, I mean, it just was like Nissan never, I mean, they made a 280Z back in the 80s, in the 70s,
What was
in
weird
80s.
about Nissan and the 300ZX is it was such a great car, and it was well designed, and they made lots of them. And then they, for whatever reason, just stopped.
Yeah, they stopped.
They just stopped.
They decided to go, and I know this because my family owns Nissan dealerships, and they've been in the family for a long time. And so what they've decided to do was they went and they wanted to take everything, all the popularity. They was starting to move more towards sedans, and the Maxima was a very popular car, and that was their kind of high-end sedan. So what they wanted to do was they wanted to make a hybrid, and they wanted to get rid of the Z for now, and they wanted to put that engine inside a Maxima and give that option to people that because they had families and there was more families. But I remember like being a 15-year-old kid and like starting this car.
The middle-aged midlife crisis market is a small one. This is what you're saying.
And so when I was 15, we lived in the country, and we lived like we were about a half a mile off the road, trees all around us, lived very rural area, 2-lane road. Anyways.
What was the rule?
Rule. I can never say that word. Rule. And we're in a rural area. Rural.
All.
Oh. Rule. That's what I said. Rule.
No, you said rule.
Rule. I still don't think I'm saying it right. What's up, George?
Just say rural.
I need to come up with another word for rule because I cannot say rule.
Remote.
Okay, we lived in a remote. No, that sounds so dumb.
Just think of me as your thesaurus hand in hand.
Remote is not either. Come up with another one.
It's kind of rural and remote.
Okay, we lived in a remote area, and everybody had a lot of land, and there was a lot of farms and stuff. So I used to get to back the car out of the garage, wash it, and then I was allowed to take it to the end of the driveway and back. Well, I get to the end of the driveway after doing this 5 times, and I just take off. And this car was a twin turbo. It was so powerful, and I'm lucky I never killed myself in it. But oh my God, I remember feeling like there was no better feeling than hammered down in this car and just taking off. I mean, it was the best joyride I've ever been on in my life. I mean, as far as adrenaline and everything else, I loved that 1990 Canary Yellow, and I loved that he bought Canary Yellow. At first, I was like, Dad, get the black one, man. Get the red one. He's like, nope. I'm going to get the Canary Yellow one because you didn't see a lot of yellow cars on the road at that time.
By the way, thesaurus.com does not recognize remote as being a solid synonym for
rural.
Do you want some words to use?
Yes, I really do because I can never say the word rural.
This one would be perfect.
I say it like a George.
This one would be perfect for this region because everything's so organic and earthy and farm to table, rustic.
No, not rustic. Rustic is old. Rustic is weathered. It's
agricultural.
In an agricultural area, yes, I could say that.
You could say that.
A remote
backwoods is what. I
don't want to tell everybody I grew up. Everybody's gonna
bucolic.
That sounds too much like another boo word.
Pastoral, provincial, and agrarian.
God, there's not another common word used for a remote rural area.
Hey, agricultural is very common.
I have an idea for your difficulty saying rural.
All right, so yes, say the word is rural.
No.
Rural. So throw an extra R in there. That'll help.
It's rural.
Oh, I just said it right. Rural. I can't say it.
You're not getting that extra R.
My job is to talk for rural.
No. You just said rural.
Just say rur and then roll. Make it
what
words.
sound does a monster make?
Rural. Rural. You said throw an extra R in there. Rural.
Yeah, but now you sound like
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby, yeah.
Rural. I live in a rural area. No, that doesn't sound right. All right, what do you think I need to do?
That's just like I said. Just remember the extra R.
Yeah, the extra R.
Whenever you can.
It's R-U. Let me spell it. It's R-U-R-A-L, right?
Yes.
Rural.
So when I say
my mind, I should know.
I grew up in a rural area.
But you're saying rural.
You got it.
I know it doesn't sound right. Thank you. I appreciate the help.
Just make it like a long R. And you don't even have to say it right. You don't even have to pronounce the
I
U.
grew up in a rural area.
Oh. Rural. I love this. This
like
has turned
Professor-
into a full-blown intervention now on how
Speech therapy is fun.
on how to get Jeremy to say rural.
Rural. I think I just said
You're
it.
getting, yes,
You
very
have to
good.
get so pitchy when you say
Sam
it.
is here. Sam, what is your
You
title?
sound like a cartoon character.
I'm the traffic manager.
Okay, she's the traffic manager.
She manages all your commutes on the 101, on the 1,
Yep.
Okay, so
46.
But you notice
East
she
and
has
West.
manager in her title, so she can come in here and tell me what to do. All right, so she brought in something phonetically for me to say, and it's spelled R-U-R and then a space R-A-L. So rural.
Very good.
But I sound like Scooby-Doo.
I know.
Well, because it's lost its meaning.
Well,
What do you mean it's lost its meaning?
I don't think
It's not a word anymore.
You have psyched yourself out on the
I want to
word.
say I went to
So
college.
when
I'm wearing the T-shirt I went to college
I
at
know,
today.
don't- and
I was there 8 years.
You really-
I learned a lot.
8
Never learned how to. Well, I didn't go to school for 8 years.
Oh,
I partied
okay.
for a couple.
It sucked
Okay.
because like one of the things that you needed to be able to do to graduate was say the word rural.
Is that why 8
Rural.
years?
Okay, here we go. You ready? I grew up in a rural area.
No, because now you're just saying rule again.
Exactly.
I kind of just go too fast.
You
Like
make it sound like it's like Britain and you're under the king's rule.
I picked up this thing in high school when I would have to do public readings or speeches, and if I couldn't really pronounce a word or I wasn't sure, I would just go through it really fast. I would just say it really
That's what
fast.
you're doing
Well,
with
that's
this.
the problem with this.
and
There's
this-
2 syllables.
This is not an easy word to say.
But the problem is you've psyched yourself out and you've given yourself so much rural pressure that when you go to say the word now, you jump up an octave and you go rural.
Rural area. It was a rural area.
But then it sounds like Wilford Brimley is talking to you or something.
Can I say mirror right? Yes, mirror.
Mirror.
No, it's just mirror.
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 Yeah, I can say that
but
right.
break
Marcy.
it down. Now break it down. and
Very similar.
very
2
similar.
R's.
Rural.
Mirror, and you have rural.
Closer.
Rule. I really am trying to do this. If people think I'm
know,
like not
I
trying
know.
to do this, this is very frustrating. This is the only word that I know of in the English language that other people would argue, don't say anything, that I would screw up. But I just, for some reason, cannot say rural.
The problem
without
is,
sounding like a
Samantha
dog.
could probably vouch for this now, is whenever we have to say the word around the office, such a big deal has been made of this that now not only does Jeremy have rural pressure, but everybody else does. And if anybody else runs through it like Jeremy does and they say rule, which is a common mistake, then we're going to
Rural.
be widely ridiculed as being
Is it rural?
people who speak the Jeremy's English.
Oh, you live out in that rural area. No.
Rural.
You say it.
Rural.
You're saying rural.
Well, and honestly, I
Rural.
try to avoid that word at all costs.
Thank you. So it's not just me.
It's
why I
not.
say-
It's not just you.
That's why when you go to thesaurus.com, backwoods, agricultural, and rustic all apply.
Somebody says
Rustic,
somebody's
really?
in a commercial saying it as well, and they can't say it. They think it's an internet ad. That's pretty funny.
Okay.
A 543-3693 are the numbers you can call or text in. Hi, thanks for hanging on. Are you there? I rescind my thank you for hanging on. Rural.
You must have been calling in from a rural
I'm just going to
area.
keep saying this, and eventually I'll probably get it right.
You know, my son is 15
Months
old.
Yeah.
Not 15.
What, can he say this
no,
word?
he can't. But he can't say any words. And it's highly likely that he's probably going to have to go to a speech therapist if it doesn't come around in the next 3 months, which I don't see it happening because he just cares not to even try to talk. So do you want to accompany him to the speech therapist? Like I do this every once in a while when I go to the doctor's office for my kids. I don't want to have to pay the extra $25 copay for me. So I'll be
You're
like,
yeah, a
I'm
little
like,
scratchy throat.
I got this like a problem in my elbow. Have you ever heard of anything like that before? And most of the time they say, yes, you're going to have to book an appointment with your doctor, Mr. Kingman.
Jake,
But
thank you so much. Jake just wrote and he says, F that word. Throw it out of your language and just say the country.
Exactly.
That's true. It was the country. I grew up in the country.
there's,
all right.
there's a basketball player who plays for the Milwaukee Bucks. And his last name, and he's a superstar right now. He's like one of the top 5 players in the NBA. And his name's Giannis. Everybody can say his first name. And his last name is like Adedekempo or Adedekimpo or something like that. Nobody could say his last name. So everybody, ESPN, Fox, TNT, they just refer to him as Giannis. Nobody tries to even say his last name. That's the same thing you need to apply with the word rural.
Talking about words we can't pronounce.
This is a tough one, okay? Because I start reading these words now, then I start second guessing myself.
Yeah.
Like Worcestershire. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is if you look at them, it's like here, who wrote regularly? Like I can't, now that I looked at it, like I regularly go to bed at 9 o'clock, but if I look at it and I try to pronounce it,
no.
Regularly. It's not easy.
You're not saying it right the first time though. How do you
Regularly.
Yeah,
regularly. I regularly go to bed at 9 o'clock. I'm saying it fast.
No, you're not.
Regularly.
Okay, lully.
Yeah.
Regularly.
But that's another one that you can get tongue-tied on.
Regularly.
Yeah, see? James says his wife sounds drunk every time she says it.
Mark writes in, he says, Kaye.
Oh, like Kaya Joaquin. No, it's Kaya. It's not Kaye. It's Kaya. Like Kaya Joaquin.
Are you sure it's Kaya?
It's Kaya.
Well, if it's Kaya, wouldn't it be Kaya?
No, but that's how they spell it. That's how you spell it.
I thought it was
Spanish.
Kaye.
Spanish. It's Kaya. That's Kaya. The two L's. Did you take Spanish?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kaya. Yeah. That's what two L's together sound like. Yeah.
It's
like
called,
almost like a Y.
It's called the Eye.
So if that was a Y, it would be Kaya. And then the E is obviously is not A. It's Kaya.
My daughter does this all the time, Alicia. Alicia writes in, crayon. But when she says crayon, she pronunciates crown. My daughter, she's 4. She does this all the time. Crowns. Where are my crowns? And I'm like, crowns? Because this is
what do you want, a tiara or something?
This leads to a lot of confusion with a 4-year-old who is in love with princesses and coloring because she says that she uses the same word.
Well, teach her how to say it right.
For both of them. She's like, where's my crowns? And I'm like, they're in your room with your dresses. She's like, and then my daughter, I don't know what it is right now, but if you don't understand what she says on the first take, it's complete, utter breakdown, like just meltdown. She's like, you're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm like, your crowns are in the bedroom. She's like, no, I want to make a picture. Where are my crowns? And it's like, oh my gosh, settle down.
And then you should go, you're not pronouncing it right. It's cringe.
We have to have like a therapy session after this conversation.
Being a parent would be fun. I would just throw it right back at her. I would have so much fun being a parent.
Trisha writes in, she says synonym. Synonym is tough because it sounds a lot like cinnamon.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of people will transpose the two.
Oh, those confuse them?
And we're talking about a synonym, and they will say cinnamon.
Cinnamon. Instead of synonym.
And when you're saying these words, I mean, this Facebook post would be a great exercise for linguistics because you could go through and say a lot of these. Like mine is, and I bear with me because I'm just like you with rural, with this word, anonymity. Ooh, I have to slow down. I have to really.
I think a lot of people want to say, but put an extra N in there, so it's like anonymity. You know what I mean? Instead of anonymity.
I don't know what it is. I just know that I cannot say anonymity unless I slow it down and really break it down. And then if I'm talking in conversation, like with a regular cadence, and I want you to know that you have complete anonymity, I have to slow it down, and I sound like I'm talking to somebody who doesn't understand English.
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning.